Welcome to a place where hearts unwind, infinite threads that gently bind, love and compassion in every line. Together we rise through space and time.
Hey, welcome back to Infinite Threads. I'm your host, Bob. I was standing in line at a store not long ago when I noticed a woman ahead of me. Nothing unusual about that, of course. She wasn't making a scene. She wasn't talking on her phone. She wasn't doing anything that would attract attention. She just looked tired. Not sleepy tired, life tired. You know the difference. She was standing there, staring at nothing in particular, while the line slowly moved forward. Every once in a while, she'd come back to the present, push her cart a few feet, then drift back into whatever thoughts that she had been carrying. I remember wondering in my mind what her day had been like. I liked doing that. Not because I had any special insight. The truth is, I had no idea. Maybe she'd spent the morning helping an aging parent. Maybe she'd received difficult news. Maybe she'd been awake half the night worrying about something she couldn't control. Or maybe none of those things were true at all. I didn't know. The point wasn't figuring out her story. The point was realizing that she probably had one. As adults, we get surprisingly good at functioning while carrying heavy things. When we're children, pain tends to be obvious. If a child is upset, chances are you'll know about it pretty quickly. Adults become experts at concealment. We answer emails, we go to work, we make dinner, we pay bills, we smile when appropriate. And all the while, there may be an entire storm happening beneath the surface. I think about that whenever somebody says, I had no idea that they were struggling. You've probably heard that after a tragedy yourself. A family member says it, a coworker says it, a friend says it. I had no idea. And most of the time, they're telling the truth. Because many people become so practiced at carrying their burdens quietly that the people around them only see the parts that remain functional. The funny thing is that we often do the same thing ourselves. We tell people that we're fine because explaining everything feels exhausting. We say we're hanging in there. We keep moving. Sometimes we convince ourselves that if we're still functioning, we're doing okay. But carrying weight and handling weight are not always the same thing. There are people walking around right now who haven't had a real conversation about what they're feeling in months, maybe longer. They've learned how to get through the day. What they haven't learned is how to put the burden down for a little while. And honestly, I think that's one reason simple kindness matters so much. Not because kindness fixes people's problems either. It usually doesn't. The mortgage is still there. The diagnosis is still there. The grief is still there. But kindness creates breathing room. It reminds people they are not moving through the world completely alone. Sometimes that's enough to help somebody make it through a difficult day. I remember hearing Mr. Rogers say that one of the greatest gifts you can give another person is your honest attention. Not your advice, not your solution, your attention. that stayed with me. Because when someone feels seen, even briefly, something changes. The burden may still exist, but now they're not carrying it in complete isolation. I think that's what so many people are hungry for right now. Not perfection, not constant happiness, just the feeling that somebody notices, that somebody cares, that somebody would sit down beside them for a few minutes if they knew what was really going on. The older I get, guys, the more convinced I become that most people are fighting quieter battles than we realize. The coworker who always seems cheerful, the friend who keeps making jokes, the neighbor who waves every morning, the person helping everyone else. Sometimes the people who appear strongest have simply become very skilled at hiding how much they are carrying. That's why I've been trying to move through life with a little more curiosity and a little less certainty. Not curiosity about people's private business, curiosity about their humanity. Because once you realize every person has a story, every person has a story that you can't see, it becomes then harder to reduce them to a single moment. A bad mood becomes less defining. A rough conversation becomes less personal. An awkward interaction becomes less important. You start leaving room for possibilities that you hadn't considered before. Maybe they're worried. Maybe they're grieving. Maybe they're just doing their best with a day that feels heavier than it looks. And honestly, maybe that's enough. We don't need to know every detail, just that it's all possible. If you can imagine it, it's possible. We don't need to solve every problem. Sometimes all we need to remember is that the person standing in front of us is carrying a life that we cannot fully see. That realization changes how we speak. It changes how we listen. It changes how quickly we judge. And every now and then, it changes somebody else's day too. So, guys, today, when you encounter someone who seems distracted, impatient, distant, or simply tired, maybe pause before deciding who they are based on that one moment. There may be more happening beneath the surface than you'll ever know. And there is something beautiful about leaving room for that possibility. Because sometimes the greatest gift we give another person is not an answer. Sometimes it's the grace of understanding that they may be carrying more than they can show. Something to think about, guys. Love you very, very, very much. You all know what I need you to do. Go out and pass that on, okay? Later, Gators. Bye.